Now let's go into the living room and meet Mr. Paul Eakins.
Mr. Eakins, until I saw your collection of Nickelodeons at the antique fair, I thought of Nickelodeons as the early moving picture shows my mother used to describe to me. Tell us what your Nickelodeons are like.
Well, a Nickelodeon, I think, is a name probably that has been adopted by the public maybe recently. They are actually an electric piano which has various instruments, and these are started by the insertion of a nickel.
Ah, Nickelodeon.
There, I think, comes the name Nickelodeon, like one of the songs, Drop Another Nickel In.
Yes, I recall that very well. Well, now, that was actually then the early jukebox, wasn't it?
Yes, they were used just like the present-day jukebox from about 1893 up until 1930.
Well, now, actually, this is a hobby with you, is it not? You are really an electrical engineer? Is that what you're?
No, mechanical.
Mechanical engineer. Yes, so therefore, this was a hobby that started quite some time ago, didn't it?
About 13 years ago.
And how did you get started on this collection, Mr. Eakins?
Well, we were up in New Mexico at Lincoln, and right across from the courthouse where Billy the Kid was jailed.
Yes.
The original bar is there, and they had one that didn't work. But the thing fascinated me, and I thought if I could find one, I could make it work.
And so you did.
I did.
Well, now, how many Nickelodeons did you have at the National Antique Show?
Well, we had 8 Nickelodeons and 1 monkey grind organ. Remember the kind the organ
Indeed,
grinder
I do.
had with the monkey to pick up the change?
Yeah. And where did you get that one?
We bought that, pardon me. Let's see, that particular one came from North Tonawanda, New York, I believe.
Right here in our state?
Yes, it was made in 1889.
Well, now, I understand you have some recordings of Nickelodeon music. Tell us about them.
Well, Audio Fidelity in New York City has released the albums. One is on Circus Carnival Calliope music, the music that everybody remembers a circus is having.
What's the name of the Calliope record, Mr. Eakins?
Circus Carnival Calliope. Under the audio label, the number is 1958.
Well, now, actually, where was this made, this particular record?
The audio sent their technicians and all of their recording equipment to Sikeston, Missouri, and made the tapes right there.
Oh, they did?
Yes.
Now, this one here, the name of this is the wonderful Belgian band organ. And it comes, of course, I love the Gay 90s Village. This particular one has such a large organ on the front of the cover. Did you ever travel with this?
Oh, yes. We've had that here in New York City twice in the last 12 months.
Oh, but not this last time.
Not the last time.
No, because I didn't see it. I don't remember seeing it, however. Now, there's one other here that you brought along, and that's called Nickel Music. I like the name of that.
Well, that comes again from the dropping the nickel in.
Yes.
There are 8 different Nickelodeons on this one, and one of them is a self-playing banjo made right here in New York City in 1893.
A self-playing banjo?
Yes.
Did you put a nickel in?
Yes.
You do?
They were used in Fred Harvey restaurants and depots, railroad depots.
You know, I think our listeners would like very much if we could have a sample of one of these records. What one would you suggest, Mr. Eakins?
Well, I think they're all beautiful. This Belgian band organ has 418 pipe, bass drum, snare drum, cymbal, and 22 xylophones with the double castanets. Now, this was made in 1885 in Belgium and was shipped to the United States for a beer garden in Detroit, Michigan.
Oh, so it's got really an interesting history, doesn't it?
Yes, and it cost 14,000 American dollars in 1885.
Wow, that must have been a good-sized beer garden that was
Yes.
buying that. Well, do you have a suggestion of a number we could play from the band record?
Well, they're all wonderful. Blue Danube is a wonderful number.
The Blue Danube. All right, well, let's hear something from the album called The Wonderful Belgian Band Organ, and the name of it is The Blue Danube. That was wonderful. I certainly enjoyed that. It whets my appetite to hear more. Tell me, Paul Eakins, what is the oldest Nickelodeon that you own?
Well, the oldest machine we own, I guess, could be classed as a Nickelodeon. It's a small Swiss box made in 1865 that has two dancing dolls.
Mm-hmm.
That was activated or played upon the insertion of a small coin. I don't know exactly what the denomination of the coin would have been at that time, but it takes a dime to play them today. It's that size.
Well, now, this fascinates me, this Sykeston Gay 90s Village. Can we visit this village and see these Nickelodeons if we're out in Missouri? Is this a place that you can, that tourists are attracted to?
Yes, we're right on Highway 62, and we're halfway between St. Louis, Missouri and Memphis, Tennessee. On a north and south highway, number 61.
Well, anybody going on highway number 61 between St. Louis and, where did you say?
Memphis, Tennessee.
And Memphis, right. Should stop by and see these because they're really fascinating.
Well, if they get within 150 miles of the place, those signs will lead them in.
All right. Well, now tell us how you track down some of these museum pieces.
Well, a lot of folks come through our place, and most everyone that's over, say, 40 years old remembers them. And they have seen one here or there. So they give us a people's name, and we track them down by letter, sometimes by telephone, and sometimes we go to see.
I see. So
But-
actually it's word of mouth from the people that come to see the ones that are already there.
Right.
Well, are there any stories about setting up the display at the National Antique Show? I'd be fascinated to hear how you got the band organ that you just described to us down here and into Madison Square Gardens.
Well, it weighs about 3,000 pounds, but the front comes off, and the two sides, as you see them here, both are detached, and then we take about 8 men and roll it down an incline. It's about 200 feet from the loading dock into where we had it last year. But now we have our truck cut down so we could drive the truck in the basement. We couldn't last year.
I see. And of course, as soon as you get it set, the first thing you want to do is stick a nickel in and be sure it's still working.
That's right.
Well, thank you very much, Paul Eakins, for coming by and telling us of this interesting hobby of yours. Let me just mention again, if people are interested in these records, that one is called Circus Carnival, and that's the calliope. And then there's the band organ, that's the wonderful Belgian band organ is the name of that one. And then there's one called just Nickel Music, and it's on Audio Fidelity.
Yes, audio.